Access Hampton and Harris with Bobbi Rooquemore, where the world of sports meets the mic and the hammer of the law.
And a happy Thursday evening to you. Welcome to the latest edition of Hampton and Harris. I'm Rickey Hampton with my great friend John Harris, coming to you on a Thursday evening, headed into the weekend. Hope everybody's doing great. Everybody should be in a good mood. About to head into the weekend. I'm here with my colleague and longtime friend, John J.D. Harris. Our great friend Bobbi Rooquemore will be joining us shortly. What's happening, good brother? Always good to see you.
I'm good. How you doing, my man?
Man, I'm good, man. I am good. We got a lot to talk about. JD, we're heading down the home stretch here. College basketball is about to enter March Madness.
Oh, yeah.
We got about 23, 24, 25 games left in the NBA. People are already beginning to talk about the NBA draft. So we're going to have a lot of good topics to discuss over the next few weeks. We got the NFL draft coming and free agency in the NFL. The guys are in Indianapolis this week at the combine, seeing how fast everybody is or how slow everybody is.
Those are your old stomping grounds, Indy, man.
Yeah, man. That's a great city for sports. And they've done a great job marketing. What they do is host sporting events there.
Yep.
I think the NCAA is still located there.
Yep, they are.
I think the national headquarters are still located there.
Mm-hmm.
So big props to Indy. And you know what, speaking of Indy, their basketball team is struggling this year after being in the finals last year. This could not have been the plan for them to become one of the worst teams in the league, JD, 15-44 after making it to the finals, but they lost their best player, Halliburton, in the finals last year. He's out all of this year. So it's like the Pacers have said, hey, bro, if we're going to be bad, let's just be bad and maybe get one of these top picks coming out of the draft. And this is something we're going to talk about tonight because we have your Tendex ratings on some of the top players in college basketball. And let's start with that, JD. I know we said we we're going to start with the NBA, and we're going to get to that. But since I got to Indy, and they're sitting at 15-44, they're tanking, and a bunch of other teams are tanking.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the upcoming draft and some of these players?
Well, yeah, I got around to doing the and I just wanted to look at some of the top freshmen because now the draft basically is the top players are almost always freshmen, right? They punish the older players, the seniors, the juniors. They get punished, pushed down in the draft. There she is.
Hey, Bobby. Welcome, darling.
Hey, Bobby.
Hello. Go
How you
ahead.
doing? Yeah. And so I focused on the freshmen, the top 10 freshmen, according to Tendex. And based off last year's draft, the top 10 freshmen, according to Tendex, they were all first-round picks. So I don't see it being a whole lot different this year. The top players will probably be freshmen that'll be, selected in the draft. So Indy, if they're lucky, they may get a Cameron Boozer or the gentleman at BYU who I'm still having trouble pronouncing his name.
Garbansta.
Just say DJ.
DJ.
What they call him, Bobby?
DJ.
Okay.
Like
Or,
Giannis, you just say Giannis. I've never attempted to, but go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. There you go. So, yeah, if they can get one of those guys, you get a Boozer, front court player to go along with some of their, good backcourt players, and they could be right back in the mix next year.
Yeah, you got the Tendex has Boozer as the highest rated uh, player in college basketball.
Well, it's definitely among the freshmen, and I haven't done all of the college players rankings yet overall, but of those that I've done, freshmen, sophomores, seniors, juniors, he has the highest ranking at this point, which kind of surprised me, but that's where he is at this point right now.
Well, he's sitting there, followed by AJ, as Bobby calls him, accurately, advanced, I believe.
Yeah.
Darius Acuff from Arkansas. Acuff is a Detroit kid and a terrific high school basketball player, and he's doing this thing at Arkansas. Keaton Wagler from Illinois. He's had a 40-point game this year. Caleb Wilson out of North Carolina. You think AJ's name's hard to pronounce? Tuanda?
Yeah, I'm not even going to try that one. Just call him
Yes,
TY. Just call him TY.
Yes.
TY. How about
Out of
TY?
Baylor, a shooting guard. Hans Steinbach out of Washington. Yuka Okori out of Stanford. Brayton Burries out of Arizona, and Kingston Flemings out of Houston. Now, you're a point guard in Houston. I know you're going to come into the league prepared playing for Kelvin Sampson, although Houston has struggled a little bit in the last couple of days, but I do expect them to bounce back.
The one X factor is the guy everybody's been talking about from Kansas, Darren Peterson.
Yeah.
Tendex doesn't get caught up into all the him playing or not playing, but what Tendex has told me so far is that his rating's not that high, which shocked me.
What?
No, it's but most of it's built off of his offense. And remember, Tendex factors in everything. His rating's not that high. We'll see what happens. Great shooter, great scorer. But it doesn't have him ranked among the top 10, doesn't even have him ranked among the top 20. Again, that's Tendex's opinion compared to some of the other players. And now there's the talk of, does he want to play? Why is he not playing in all the games? So I don't know. Maybe that's definitely a red flag. And the fact that Tendex has kind of red flagged him as well, I would really have to study him a little bit more. As we go closer through the NCAA tournament, and as we get closer to the draft, maybe his rating will go up. And maybe he'll start playing more games.
Well, he better get going because, Bobby, we were just talking about just before you came in, and we're in the stretch drive now. We're going into March. We're going to have March Madness. We've got the conference tournaments coming up. We got NBA basketball, final quarter leg before the playoffs. So, bro, come on, Mr. Peterson, come show us what you can do, man. I want to see him play.
Oh, yeah, and Bobby, next week, doing the women. We're gonna with the women's tournaments coming up. The next week I'm gonna do the same thing. We're gonna have the top women's players and the top teams. So I'm looking forward to that. Tendex will come out with that. That'll be a nice change of pace. So we'll definitely be working on that next week.
Right. And just to piggyback on what's been said about the men's teams and this rough stretch by Houston. I mean, we have 16, 18 team conferences now. Okay, so there is no, you can have a stretch because of the way the travel goes where you have to play Arizona and Arizona State, or where you have to play, Houston play Iowa State, Kansas, Arizona, and I think Baylor's coming up. I mean, just to give you a gauntlet. I mean, that's just a gauntlet. We have these schedules to where I remember reading about the West Coast trip by one of these Big Ten teams. We're just in a new world. So, I think Houston will bounce back and, teams are adjusting to this new reality of the 18-team conferences and how this is all going to work. And it's made college basketball exciting again, actually, I think. And so the NBA is, here we are tanking. We're talking about tanking in the NBA by multiple teams. I remember just hearing about Philadelphia trying to do it years ago or something like that, but this shows you the health of college basketball, that people are interested in tanking.
Yeah. But you know what? And JD, you've made those West Coast trips covering the NBA, and now these college kids are doing it really for the first time in the Big Ten schools. In fact, Tom Izzo talked about that. They had to go out and play. They went out and played USC and UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
Then they may have went up to Washington State. And he was talking about how they had to prepare a little different because the kids aren't used to being away like that. And JD, you can speak to how even just covering it, it would take something out of you.
I can remember some West Coast trips, some long West Coast trips covering the Pistons where I would wake up, I didn't know where I was. I'm serious. I'd have to get my bearings. I had no idea, well, am I in Seattle? Am I in Phoenix? Am I in San Francisco? Where am I? So and that's, but that, you know what? Hey, that's the price of what you're paying now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Bigger conferences, bigger payouts, bigger TV contracts. And who's paying the price? The players are paying the price, but at least some of them are now getting paid, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you talk about that long West Coast trip, it's not only that, but this deep in the season. Of course, we had those tournaments like the Hawaii tournament or something way back in December or something like that. Yeah. But this deep in the season, right before the tournament, this is a new territory. And speaking of, I just want to tell you about this. The very first time I went to Seattle, I was traveling out of Milwaukee, and I want to say this was the late 90s. And I had never been on a trip that far before. I think it was in ABJ or something like that. And they played a movie. And I just like, okay, I remember looking outside like, okay. And then they came on and said, and now for our second movie. And I was like, when am I going to get out of here?
Wow.
What is this?
Wow.
So that's, Washington is a beautiful state. It's beautiful, scenic, everything, but that is a hard trip to take, and I get jet lag just going to Cleveland, let alone, something like that, but like you said, you had to get out there and play basketball too. And so it was, I think one of these teams last night, now granted it was St. John's and UConn, but they just looked dead out there. It was like, that's not far, but who knows? I mean, our point is, this is just a new era.
I think they said St. John's missed 24 straight shots or something like that, wasn't it?
I would just stop. I turned it on because Big East, Marquette. I'm a Marquette grad, even though we're not having a good season. I'm still invested in the Big East and the tradition and everything else. And I turned it on like, whoa.
72-40 or something. And St. John's, they won 13 straight games. They just hit the wall. But, that can happen to anybody. Now, JD, let's go over the top teams, the early top 16 reveal according to Tendex. Michigan Wolverines are sitting in the number one spot, followed by Duke. That's even though Duke beat them, JD. Followed by Arizona, Iowa State, UConn, top 5. And Houston is still up there, top number 6, despite their recent, just a bump in the road for them. They're too good to continue to fly. Illinois, Purdue.
Now, Tendex puts Florida in the number 1 seed over Iowa State, barely.
Wow.
But other than that, it's pretty similar. The top teams are pretty much the top teams. That's what I like about Tendex. It makes me – I do see Florida as kind of a sleeper. They won the championship last year. They had some key losses. They got a lot of talent. In fact, they've got one of those Wemby-like size guys. I don't know. He's not a Wemby talent, but he's like that. I wouldn't overlook Florida in a tough league, so they're not going to have the greatest of records. But I think they'll be dangerous in the tournament, to be honest with you.
The Big Ten is well represented with Michigan, Illinois, Purdue, Nebraska, which really started the year off great. They slipped a little bit, but they're still up there. Michigan State, and Gonzaga is back in the mix a little bit too.
Yeah.
So
Gonzaga's the only team that Tendex knocked them down a little bit, and even knocking them down, they're still 6th according to Tendex. I know in the NCAA poll they're 12th, but Tendex punishes them for when they went to play in the West Coast Conference, and they're really the only school in this group that's not really playing in a quote unquote major conference. So Tendex factors in strength of schedule too. One of the things I like about it. So actually, their rating would actually have them much higher, but it knocked them down by about 7 points with the strength of schedule.
and you know what? I do want to go back to
and I mean, just Tendex.
No, go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, okay, yeah. Tendex aside, I mean, so TV watches me, as we all have discussed, and the TV just goes and goes. And I must have been watching something last weekend, and I didn't realize Miami was back in the picture.
Yeah.
John J. Ellis, I want to say, is coaching them or something like that. But I didn't really, Coach Larinaga, longtime coach, got George Mason to the Final Four, got the University of Miami to the Final Four in 2023. I was fortunate to go. It happened to be here in Houston. That a lot of the Miami football team, as a matter of fact, that weekend. And then Coach Larinaga suddenly retired. The new NIL era just kind of fell off. And then next thing you know, here's Miami, back in the top, 25. And same thing, I believe, happened with Virginia, with Tony Bennett suddenly retiring and leaving that top program in flux. And yet they're back in the picture. So it's just good to see, that after what happened to those two teams and those coaches.
The most surprising school to me in all of college athletics, football, just college athletics, is in my hometown of Nashville, Vanderbilt University. Mm-hmm. I am stunned by what they're doing with the athletic program over there. And they have a sister who's in charge of athletics at Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
They had a nationally ranked football team. First of all, when they said NIL, I'm like, Vanderbilt in the SEC, then everybody's homecoming opponent for 50 years. I'm like, they don't stand a chance. But everybody knows Vandy got money, and they decided to put money in that program. They had a top team. They had national ranked football team. Their basketball team's nationally ranked. Their women's team is nationally ranked. They've always had a great baseball program, and they still have that. I would never envision that, but that shows you the power of the dollar in college athletics. They would not have been able to do that without NIL money. And they have an endless, JD, Vanderbilt got an endless bank account.
But not only is it helping programs like Vanderbilt, it is knocking some of these top programs down too.
Yeah.
Where you have coaches leaving now out of frustration. But players now are going to go, they may leave Alabama and go to a Vandy.
Yeah.
And maybe make more money at a Vanderbilt because maybe Alabama doesn't consider them the top elite guy anymore, but a Vanderbilt will pay them more money and they'll go to Vanderbilt.
Right.
And I think that's what's helping those schools as well. They're benefiting from some of these bigger schools maybe not keeping everybody or not wanting to keep everybody. So it is balancing things out in a very interesting way. Tendex has Vanderbilt number 9. And I don't know. I just go off the numbers. I haven't seen them play at all this year. That's a great conference. They're in the SEC. It's a great league. It's a great basketball league. It's always been a great basketball. Very underrated for years. When I was in Florida, I always thought the SEC was a very underrated basketball conference.
Yeah, for sure.
It was top heavy. I think that's what the issue was. And so now it's deeper than maybe it was before. And I apologize. The Miami coach is Jai Lucas. I'm like, Jai Lucas. That's the name of the University of Miami basketball coach who took over after Jim Larinaga. And of course, we have to give a shout out to the University of Miami Red Hawks. I mean, the Miami University of Ohio Red
undefeated?
Hawks. Still undefeated.
And let somebody slip when they play them in the tournament. They'll be going home early.
You think?
That's not my question. The question is, will the MAC get more than one school? You know, it's been like the last time they got two schools was when I was working in Toledo back in 99. They haven't had two teams in the NCAA tournament since then, which to me is just unbelievable. They've only gotten one every year. Only one MAC team gets in. And it may be the case this year. If Miami wins, there probably won't be another MAC school to get in, unfortunately. It's been like that. So maybe they need to lose, right, in the conference final. And then another team win the automatic bid, and maybe Miami, by virtue of the record, will get in as well, if you're looking at it that way. Because otherwise, only one school is going to get in, and it'll probably be Miami.
Yeah, and thankfully, just looking at the MAC standings, Akron's not too shabby at 23-5. That this may be the year.
They're always good. Akron's always good.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. Yeah, usually they win the tournament. Or I just remember, Kent State and Akron always going at it. But yeah, so this may be the year that the MAC doesn't really need, to get two teams in. I can see Akron making to the finals and maybe being in the final four or first four or something like that. Just out of respect. I mean, 23-5 is 23-5. That's hard to do.
It's a good league, underrated league. I'd love to see more than one team get into the NCAA tournament.
Yes. Yeah.
For sure. Hey, I do want to get to the NBA, and but I will come back because Bobby, I want to hit on this thing that's going on in college football regarding the NIL with the kid Brendan Sorsby in Cincinnati. But before that, I want to get to this thing where Kevin Durant was kind of talking about. Let me just read you what he said. Yeah. He thinks black players are getting blamed for the narrative of European basketball being better than American basketball. He calls it a bullshit narrative and a shot at black Americans. This is Kevin talking right before All-Star break. You should ask the European, they're talking about who's going to play hard in the All-Star game. And Kevin says, you should ask the Europeans and the world team if they're going to compete, talking about the All-Star game. If you look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic, let's go back and look at what they do in the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're going to question the old heads and the Americans. There's a lot of bullshit with that. I can read between the lines on that. It's a shot at black Americans. We're controlling the sport. They're tired of us controlling the sport. Thoughts?
Ladies first.
Go ahead. Ladies first. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a little bit harsh. And, who knows? Maybe he was having a bad day or read something crazy or something like that. I do understand the tone or the sentiment behind the world players, being more gamed up because of what happened in the whole hockey situation. That's why we're here, is because of what happened in hockey. The NBA had to take a page from hockey in the NHL, to enliven its game. And maybe, Kevin Durant, saw that as being against blacks, but I think it was more against Americans as a whole. And American basketball, the way, just the way it's the way the NBA is looked at in some circles. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But I just don't feel like that was the sentiment. Like they're going to be better. I just thought it would just be different competition because of what happened in hockey. Like I said, I get the point, but taking it all the way too far, I just think it was just a little bit too far, kind of victimish, to me. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kevin and you go down the list of these the elite NBA players of the last decade, Kevin, LeBron, Curry, they're all getting older. I mean, we have to be realistic about this. They're on their, now I'm not gonna say they're on their last legs, but they're at the end. Who's the player they're talking about now? They're talking about Wemby, right? From France, very young. So I mean, I just think there's he was pushing back against AAU, and a lot of people think that AAU has really hurt American basketball, and I agree with it. And I just think I don't think the fans have ever been upset with the black players. I mean, who's the most popular player of all time? Michael Jordan. I mean, I don't even buy all that. I mean, that to me is just whatever he feels like he needs to say. But I just think it's just reality's kind of kicking in for some of these top American players who have been top dog for a long time. And look at the last 6, 7 MVPs. They've all been international players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there might be some sour grapes on the Americans' end, but it is what it is.
Right. And you just brought up a good point. Some of those foreign players are black or of color.
Yeah.
Was Shy on that team? I don't know if he was injured, but he's
a foreign player though. Yeah,
he's from Canada. Some of those players are of
Murray,
Giannis,
Wemby. So it's not a black. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just that's just my opinion.
He seemed like he was targeting those two for a particular reason. He picked out Luka, and he picked out for whatever reason. And I don't know if he's got an issue with them or whatever, but I think he picked those two guys out who happen to be white, who are international players. But like you said, Wemby's been the talk of the NBA this year. Rick, you just saw him the other day up in Detroit.
Right. It's like we had a where's Giannis watch, during the whole trade deadline.
Yeah.
Or, what I'm saying? That's just what it was. Yeah.
Let me tell you, guy. John, you in Austin, you can reach through this computer and take your calf off. He's so long. I mean, this dude, man, is long, Bobby, and he moves well. I mean, he's a terrific player. But Durant says he's going to play in 28, and I think he said LeBron. I think he's trying to get LeBron to play. I mean,
let's get Bronny on the team too. Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, we will see, because a lot of people think for the first time the American team will not be the favorites.
I don't think they will be. I mean, unless the young guns coming up are going to take over. Now maybe an Anthony Edwards can have a say in that.
You got,
he needs to step up and be the guy, the face of American basketball.
K right here, Detroit. K Cunningham,
exactly,
is a terrific player.
Yeah,
but
Cooper Flag and Conker Nibble, and these other coaches.
We'll have some guys.
The depth. I don't think that'll be the case because of depth.
Yeah.
If they were that good, they'd be in the NBA. We know who they are. I'm talking
about. I just think Kevin sees the writing on the wall. If the Americans are going to be up there in 2 or 3 years, it's not going to be them. It's going to be the guys you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's not going to be KD and LeBron and Curry. It's going to be these young guys.
It's not going to be a cakewalk. You remember the USA team was signing autographs of the team before.
That's over with.
And that's a credit to the world.
It is.
And that's a credit to, the NFL wishes it could get like this.
Yeah.
It won't.
Really is.
They'll never had this international appeal.
Yeah. A lot of people credit Vince Carter. There's a lot of Canadian players in the NBA. A lot of people credit Vince Carter for that resurgence in Toronto.
Yeah.
When he went there and really dominated, and played well for the Raptors. And you look at, Shea and some of the other guys. I didn't realize there were that many Canadian players in the NBA, but apparently that had some impact on kids around that time. When we played in the '90s, started to really get involved in pro basketball or basketball itself. So the American basketball influence. The influence is shown all around, seen all around the world. And now these countries.
But I think you guys made a good point about him and the black players, because half the foreign players are of color. So we'll move on from there. But KD, still an outstanding player, but there is a changing of the guard in the NBA coming for sure. And let's look at where we are in the standings. Let me see if I can get this going up here as we head down the home stretch. Here, windows here. According to Tendex.
Now this I did not include like this going into this week, so that's probably a week or so behind. I know that Detroit beat Oklahoma City last night. It won't affect the overall rate. It won't affect the overall rate.
Shorthanded though.
Yeah.
Does this kid is this a bounce for Cleveland? Because I think they've looked great since Harden got to town.
Yeah.
Road team, they're gonna bounce. The two teams they lost last night in Milwaukee by 2, I think I want to say. And then there was a really good game. There was the game on national television where they started way slow and then came back. So you're gonna people got tape now, on this new setup. So there are gonna be some ups and downs. But yeah, this has been a great thing. And like I said, body language can sell you a lot, and he really seems happy to be on this team. Yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell just kind of makes it that way, and the way he loves Cleveland makes it infectious for other players. Similar to how Myles Garrett is, and his love for Cleveland and the Browns. I think that Donovan Mitchell's love for the city of Cleveland is apparent. I happened to see the game on Friday. He was talking about how, and they were at Charlotte, and he was like, I guess he scored it. This was his 100th game as a Cav or something. I forget what it was or whatever happened. And so he was like, wow, I didn't know this many people were from Ohio until I started playing for the Cavaliers and going on the road. That's what he said. I mean, he just said, I love playing for this team and I love playing for the city. And, one of the things he said when he came from Utah was, I want to go to the other games in town for other sports teams, pro sports teams, because his dad apparently worked for the Mets. So he's probably used to being around that. And so, so I think, James Harden kind of picks up on that too.
Yeah, what about Charlotte? They started so poorly. I mean, they've been playing great as of late. How are they looking in the Tendex?
Tendex loves their players. I wouldn't want to play them in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of young, dangerous talent. Brandon Miller, who people have forgotten about from Alabama. Obviously, Khan. And they have a center from Creighton. He's a rookie.
Okay.
Who Tendex loves. They've got a nice nucleus of players that are, like you said, learning how to play together. Of course, you got Mr. Ball. I just think they could be a tough out if they make it, to the playoffs this year. But definitely in the future, Toronto is also another team to watch in the playoffs in the East. They're a very talented team. I just still think Detroit is the class of it, but I don't know. The way Cleveland's climbing in the East, they could get out of there and go to the finals. I mean, I'm not going to just put Detroit in there. I watched them play Oklahoma City last night. They beat them. Oklahoma City had a lot of players out. I can see matchups a little different if different players are guarding Cade than what they had last night. But I didn't expect them to be even close to being that game last night.
My Detroit shooting is a big concern for me.
Yeah.
Now they will pound you inside. They score. They lead the NBA in paint points.
Yeah.
But outside of Duncan Robinson, they don't have much shooting. My man Ron Holland, the young second-year forward who I love, his nickname in Detroit is Hustle Man.
Hustle Man.
Good guys. Ron Holland does not know how to play basketball. But what he does know how to do is run to that ball. He's all over the place, diving for loose balls and all that. Dude ain't got a clue what to do. They just sick him on him like a dog. But when they are on offense, they will leave him in the corner like it's a free throw. And JB's telling them to take the shot. You do all these other great things for us. You deserve to shoot it too. But, man, that dude can't throw a pea in the ocean. And they're going to have to try to fix that, or somebody's going to knock them off. I don't think they can beat, after watching them play San Antonio, I don't think they can beat San Antonio. I know they can't be a fully healthy OKC team if they will happen to get out of the East. I don't know if they can beat Cleveland now. I do think they can beat New York. Yeah. Out of all the contenders in the East, to me, even though New York has that high Tendex rating, I just don't like. They're obviously a good team, but I don't like the way they play because my man Brunson keeps the ball in his hand, hell of a player, but nobody else seems to be able to find a rhythm because of his ball dominance. As opposed to a guy like Cunningham, I think Cade had 29 points, 13 to 14 assists last night. Brunson's going to give you 38 or whatever, but he might have 5 or 6 assists. So that's my problem with the Knicks. They are a good team, more than capable, but I think Cleveland's better. I think Detroit's better. And Philly, man, if the big fella decides he wants to go, I can't put nothing past him.
Yeah, and shout out to the Eastern Conference. You know, there's a lot said about how bad it was compared to the West and all of that. But it's not a lot better lately, like the basketball over here, you know, in the Eastern Conference. I mean, there's a huge drop-off in the West. I mean, half the West is trying to tank. You know, Dallas, they're the tanking team, you know, the tank wars, you know, between Dallas and Utah or whatever, sitting out players in the fourth quarter. At least with Indiana, we all know why, because their star player was, you know, injured and, you know, with G's.
Right. Yeah,
you know.
we talk about that.
I mean, it's just, you know, these East teams are really trying to compete. They just aren't that good, you know, except for Indiana, and we all know why.
What I love about Tendex,
I wonder
the ratings
maybe
have gone up
in
in the East. The East rating, we've seen, Rick, over the year in Tendex numbers, the Eastern teams, they're almost on a par now, other than OKC. Their ratings are going up. You have now several East teams among the top 10, where the season started or early in the season, that wasn't the case. So the East is getting stronger as the season goes along. The West, injuries and whatever are kind of not declining, but not the powerhouses that they were early in the season.
Right.
No doubt, man. No doubt. When I look at it, I you know, Houston, I watched them blow a big lead. I guess was it to Boston or somebody a couple of days ago. But they're obviously a dangerous team, having Durant. You get it close, he could close.
I think it was the Knicks, wasn't it? I think they lost it to the Knicks, wasn't it?
It was the Knicks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the Knicks. The Lakers, they may finish in the 8th spot before it's over with. You know what, guys? I am not a big fan of Luka's game.
It's just a bad mix of players on that team. They just don't have a good mix of players.
Yeah.
Too many ball-dominant guys that all have to have the ball. It's just not a good mix, chemistry-wise, offensively. And defense, we don't even want to talk about defense.
I mean, right. And I start there with Luka, man. I mean, he's an incredible shot maker and a really good passer, but he gets half of that back on the other end.
Mm-hmm. And complain. Go ahead.
Yeah, Bobby, you're the man.
I saw a meme or something that said, you know, when they have the statue of Luka, it's going to be him arguing with the ref, I mean, but, you know, I think it was one of these games I think I had on late night. I think Orlando, or I don't know what it was, but they just kind of lost, and it was
Yeah,
just
they
kind of
lost to
weird.
Orlando. It was Orlando.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he's fought. I'm glad to see him physically better. I think being around LeBron has done that. Made him more invested in his physical. But just falling back into those bad habits, and I think it affected the outcome of the game, just momentum wise.
Yeah. Hey, guys, we just got a couple more minutes left. I do want to get to this story that's come out this week regarding Brendan Sorsby, who played quarterback at University of Cincinnati last year. Really good year. Had an NIL deal with Houston. Had a real good season. Signed an NIL deal with Texas Tech for $4 million. So he told Cincy, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, and transferring out. Cincinnati's like, yo, bro, we need some restitution here. And they are suing for a $1 million buyout that's due within 30 days. And JD, one of the great things about having an attorney as one of our co-hosts,
Yes.
Bobbi can break this thing down for us.
Yes, she can.
And Bobbi, is this the start of something?
Yeah, and this is all new. And so apparently the estimated value, and coaches have these all the time. They're called buyout clauses. Television folks have these all the time. The liquidated damages clause. And so it was.
See, sports writers never had those. We just had buy.
I know, right? Journalists, right? Bye. And you look at it. Hopefully, you get your 2 weeks. Yeah. But so I think the thing that jumped out at me or had me thinking was when that contract was signed, it was okay. It is what it is. There's no, not saying bad omen that he might leave, but in case you do leave, we'll estimate your value at $1 million. The way the contract is structured and how it is paid may be different than his Texas Tech contract. So it sounds like the issue with the Cincinnati contract is that it sounds like he kind of really did great in 2024, signed a new contract or something, signed a contract because now it's allowed, and then got paid a lot of upfront money. And then, and now the damages are because they could not, the actual case that I read, they could not have that as an exhibit because it's confidential. But if the court needs to look at it, they will. But regardless of how it was paid out, it was going to be $1 million. And if he breached, and he was so open about it, that's the thing that jumped out at me as well. Got no going on TV. Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm breaching. I'm this. I'm that. But this has not been legally challenged. Something may also be in that same contract waiving the $1 million if he, let's say it was a mental health issue or something like that. There may be something in that contract that we don't know, and so that's why he's refusing to pay it. But on the surface, on the face, the university, the complaint was very straightforward. This is what happens. It says what it says. In case of breach, is going to be $1 million due within 30 days. And his rep is apparently said he's not going to pay it. And so, we have contract law, a whole body of law under contracts, that we learn in law school, going back to these two farmers who signed something on a napkin, and so you develop this body of law over time. These cases are developing over time. And so maybe they said, okay, if they make me pay. And so maybe that's his representation's position as opposed to just honoring it, because it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money, because people can get injured and stuff like that. And that may be the last $1 million you ever make.
It'd be like, bro, I ain't got it. Like,
yeah, right. Or the way, so now he has the propensity to leave. See, before he signed that contract, it was under the guise of we want to compensate you to play, and just in case you might leave. Now, Texas Tech, he's demonstrated the propensity to leave. Texas Tech might structure the payments a little differently. So he may not have $1 million to give within 30 days.
Hey, well, Bobbi, what would be your counsel to a young 5-star athlete coming out of high school is getting all these offers for that regarding NIL?
Yeah, definitely have representation and see, check out what experience they have and ask a lot of questions, because at the end of the day, we do care about our reputations too and how we leave places. There may be something down the line where he may need the University of Cincinnati or something like that. And so, it's like with any young person is what I'm trying to say. I say this to my nephews. Watch how you leave places, watch how you enter places and watch how you leave them. Because, even if you're right, it can still be a bad look. And all money isn't good money. Guaranteed money is better than unguaranteed money. Learning what a buyout clause is. This may have been news to this young man. He seems, the word buyout is pretty clear, but this may have been news to him. Check out the agent's credentials. This may have been new to the agency, and like the NFLPA, where you have to go get certified and this and that. They don't necessarily do that in college.
They don't have to be certain. They could just be. You could do it, Bobby. I could do it.
Right? Any of us. Uncle Joe can do it. And no disrespect to Uncle Joe, who has the best of intentions, but these legal terms matter. Liquidated damages within 30 days. That doesn't mean when I get to it. That means in 30 days. Right. It says what it says.
Yeah. That we're going to keep our eye on that because I get a feeling that won't be the last one. And then, because now we got colleges are hiring general managers, just like NFL and NBA teams and hockey teams. So it has become a professional sports business now.
Definitely.
Where everybody's getting paid. Hey, we just got a couple of minutes here. Any final thoughts? Anybody got anything on their mind? John, I got to give you a plug, man, for your great book, Tomlin, The Soul of a Football Coach, by John J.D. Harris, forward by the great Tony Dungy, too. And you got a new edition of that.
Now that I hear it, I hear they're throwing Mike Tomlin's name around, potentially doing a TV job. I'm still going to go on record. I still don't see that happening. I don't see him working for NBC next year or Fox or whoever. I'd be just totally shocked. I just see him being Mike Tomlin, and every now and then we're going to see a picture of him at the University of Georgia, where his daughter is a gymnast.
I just saw a picture of him down there
with his family.
Right.
I believe he'll be back in football in some form or fashion. I don't know, next year, 2 years from now. I just don't see him as a TV guy. Maybe money talks. I've been wrong on that before, but I don't see it. I see him spending personal time with his family, which he hasn't done for not just 19 years in Pittsburgh, but all the other years as a college coach and a pro coach. You talk about maybe close to 30 years. He's been in the coaching profession. He started right out of college. People forget his first job was right after graduating from William & Mary. So he's been coaching for a long time.
Yeah. Bobbi, before we go, who's going to be the quarterback in Cleveland?
Well, I mean, it's who knows at this point. I mean, it's, the focus now, with the Cavs, that's a lot of the talk of the town, but there's going to be a competition. They're coming into the season like best man win, as opposed to whatever was supposed to be going on in 2025. We were told it was a competition, and Kenny Pickett, and then everything blew up, when Kenny Pickett got injured and and we all know what happened after that. And thank goodness for the defense for making that whole thing watchable.
What do you say with Dylan Gabriel? He's a 3rd-round pick. They just going to talk?
Yeah, I think that was, it happens sometimes, and I think, again, that was just designed for a long-term play, versus actually having to throw them out there because Joe Flacco was throwing picks. And again, it was just a chaotic situation. with the Browns last year, that doesn't mean dysfunction. It was just, roster management is hard. Sometimes when people get injured and you don't have anybody really to throw to and things aren't working out like you thought they were, and again, that's why Kevin Stefanski is gone and there needed to be a fresh voice in the room. And, as far as the new coach, Todd Monken, he sounds very invested, in the team and doing things his way. There's still a lot of, it's still kind of shock about the whole, situation with Jim Schwartz, but that is what it is. But they keep saying, word is getting out. Deshaun Watson looks fresh. He looks good, but at the end of the day, when somebody's coming at you, right. When Max Crosby is coming at you, when TJ Watt is coming at you twice a year, plus Hayward and whoever else they got on the Steelers twice a year, and the Ravens twice a year. Like I said, AFC North football, even though the record didn't show it this year, it's still competitive, within ourselves.
Yeah, he's been away for a while too. So, but we'll see. We're gonna have to get out of here though. And to our viewers out here, we're here every Thursday at 9 p.m. With my great friend John Harris and Bobbi Rooquemore. I'm Rickey Hampton. Good evening. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
See ya.